Hey everyone, welcome to our release kickoff for milestone 15.5. My name is David DeSanto and I lead product here at GitLab. I will be your MC today on today's live stream. I'm joined by some of the members of our awesome product team. They are, in order which they will be presenting, Josh Lambert, Director of Product for our enablement and SaaS platform sections, will provide updates for the enablement section. Sarah Waldner, Group Product Manager for the Create stage, will provide updates for our Dev section. Matt Wilson, Senior PM for Govern Threat Insights, will provide updates for our SEC section. Taylor McCaslin, Group Product Manager for Model Ops and Anti-Abuse Stages, will provide us updates for the Data Science section. And yes, that's the new name for it. And Kevin Chu, Group Product Manager for the Monitor stage, will provide updates for our Ops section. We're focused on delivering value iteratively with a focus on our FY23 product investment themes. Our first theme is GitLab Hosted First. Please note this does not mean GitLab hosted only. GitLab.com is the largest known self-managed deployment that we manage for our users. And we know if we can meet our requirements, we will meet our users' requirements. Our second theme is improve key workflow usability. This theme is focused on improving the workflows that are most critical to our users. This includes areas like our code review experience, our security experience, and we know if we can improve that, both the usability and learnability, we will drive multi-stage adoption, making GitLab more valuable to users. And our final theme is extend our lead in CI/CD. DevOps doesn't end until applications are deployed in production and can be monitored. And with that, we know if we can make that seamless, it'll be a great experience for our users. Before I hand it over to Josh, we have a short public service announcement. On this live stream, we'll be discussing our product roadmap, which includes upcoming features and functionality. It's important to note that the information presented on this live stream is for informational purposes only. Please do not rely on it for purchasing or playing decisions. We plan very ambitiously here at GitLab, and all details on this live stream are subject to change. Remember, the timing of all products, features, and functionality remain at the sole discretion of GitLab. So now with that disclaimer over, let's get to the fun stuff and over to Josh to kick us off.
Thanks, David. Super excited to take everyone through the enablement highlights for this coming milestone. And with that, let's jump into GitLab Hosted First. As David mentioned, all of these benefits, of course, will be available to our SaaS platforms, but also to everyone who runs a self-managed instance as well. So with that, we can move on into the Geo group, and they are continuing to work on the last remaining items that we're moving into the self-service framework. The goal of this is to have all of our content types being replicated with the same piece of code, so we can deprecate all the other code paths, as well as have one place to add all new features going forward where it benefits all content types. That way we can go faster in the future and work on new and exciting features in the Geo team. So looking forward towards wrapping up that. We are also starting a new long-term project over in the Gitly cluster group, where we want to improve the efficiency and effort required to operate the Gitly cluster service. The service is intended to help have a resilient Gitly service across many nodes to make it more highly available in case of certain types of challenges or incidents. And with Gitly cluster right now, we have multiple sources of truth. We have the database and we have multiple nodes. Those can lead to some challenges like the ones outlined here. And we want to go ahead and actually utilize Raft to have the Gitly nodes themselves manage consensus implication, removing one potential source of truth that could potentially become inconsistent. So this will overall improve the ability for Gitly to just kind of operate on its own and self-heal, which we're looking very much forward to in the, again, kind of longer term future here, but we're working on it starting now. We are also working on the improvements to our overall database framework. This is important as our teams start to think about partitioning their tables, in particular CI, which, as you can imagine, with every single job being tracked in our database, that table can become quite big. So we're working to help the CI team partition that table and making sure we have the tools to help support them in that, so they can go ahead and improve performance and ensure scalability for time to come here. Moving on over into key workflow usability, we can talk about some improvements working on global search. Really excited about these. These will unfortunately carry over from 14.4 into 14.5, but again, really high impact and can't wait for them to become available on the platform. In particular, we are making a large change to how advanced search looks and feels by moving towards a left kind of vertical navigation method for filtering and faceting on your search items. This is a much more common way of viewing this and offering it, and it's also more extensible. So for example, with that, we'll be adding labels to the ability to facet as well or filter on, which is really a lot of the ways folks get out there and categorize issues and merge requests and things like that. And so offering this and the ability to filter on will really help folks find what they're looking for faster, which again, we are really excited to get out there and have you all be able to take advantage of. Moving over into more of the maintenance area for our groups, we are working to improve how our distribution team's pipelines work. These are the pipelines that build all of the container images, all of the packages for all of our developers and all of our customers. And so improving how fast these can run and how reliably they can run will overall benefit velocity and developer productivity across GitLab and all contributors, which we are very excited for. We are also working towards improving support for multiple architectures on our container images. We have support for Intel-based images today, but we get a lot of requests for ARM64 builds for things like Graviton, Pi4, and other ARM64-based platforms, which can offer higher, similar performance for cheaper operating costs on these cloud vendors. And so we're looking forward to having this available for our customers, but we have to build the kind of support for multiple architecture first before we can go add ARM64 next. On that topic, we are also adding packages for Amazon Linux 2022. Amazon Linux 2 itself is a very popular platform to run GitLab on. And so AL 2022 is a further improvement of that. And we want to make sure we have packages available for it when it was available so our customers can take advantage of all the benefits that it provides. And finally, we are also working to move GitLab over to Ruby version 3.0. We expect Ruby 2.7 to be end of life around March of next year. And so we'll make sure that GitLab is on version 3.0 to take advantage of its benefits, but also make sure we can keep on getting updates, of course, as well. Once 2.7 is end of life, again, we expect in a few months here. So we're working to make sure we get up ahead of that before that happens. And with that, I'll pass it over to Sarah to talk about all the exciting things that the dev group has coming up as well.
Thank you so much, Josh. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Wilner. I'm the group manager of product for the Create stage. And I'm here today to walk us through the highlights for the dev section for the 15.5 milestone. So for the plan stage, manage stage, and the Create stage, all highlights I'm talking about today support the FY23 investment theme of key workflow usability. I'll start with the manage stage coming from our authentication and authorization group. We're going to be working on extending group SCIM to the instance level for self-managed users. Now, this is going to allow administrators to better manage end-to-end lifecycle management, namely the deprovisioning of users at the end of their lifecycle. This means that when users are deactivated in their identity provider, they'll automatically be deactivated in GitLab. Previously, this was a manual step we required administrators to take. Onto the optimized group. The optimized group is going to be starting on a proof of concept for a metrics comparative dashboard. So GitLab Analytics, we know, provide high value to executives. However, today, these reports are spread across multiple pages in GitLab and may require specific filters to be applied to be relevant to the viewer. Executives' time is valuable. We understand that. So we want this experience to be intuitive. For them to be able to glean insights that are relative specifically to their business. From the import group for the managed stage, they'll be making iterative improvements to the GitHub importer. So when migrating projects from GitHub to GitLab, for merge requests specifically, those are mapping to pull requests from the originating tool. Today, all comments, including the pull request itself, are migrated into GitLab. However, any of the associated history and events are not. That means after migration, users are still missing the ability to see who added and removed labels, milestones, added and removed assignees, so on and so forth. For a lot of companies, this is a deal breaker that would prevent them from moving to GitLab. Onto the Create stage. Coming to us from the code review group, they'll be working on making the merge widget on the merge request, that's a mouthful, real time. So this widget on the merge request takes inputs from lots of different checks and actions on the page. In many cases, things can be resolved or changed quickly. but the merge button status is not updated to reflect the latest changes. This forces users to reload the page to ensure they've got the correct information visible. We'll be updating the merge request widget to respond in real time to other changes so that the user always has the correct view of mergeability for that merge request. For the create stage in the editor group, we announced a couple of months ago that we're replacing our IDE with VS Code. And as we develop on it, we want to get feedback early. We'll be putting this new experience behind a feature flag and then adding a toggle to the UI so that users can self-select to try out the new IDE as we work on it. However, since we're iterating and this will be an earlier experience, it may be incomplete. So the toggle is important for users to be able to switch back to the legacy experience as we iterate. For the source code group in the create stage, they'll be starting on an MVC to improve how you interact with and understand all of the different controls that we provide for your ability to manage your source code. These include protected branches, approval rules, code owner approvals, and many more. And you put these in place to enforce adherence to policies that maintain the quality of your source code. A recent study, along with much customer feedback, revealed to us that today people struggle to find all the different controls and understand how they impact, along with other settings, people's experiences. This new framework aims to make it easier and more intuitive for you to administer your source code management. The MVC, the first iteration of this framework, will make all the different rules viewable in a single place and will organize them on a per branch basis. And finally, from the plan stage, our certified group is going to be updating permissions for internal notes on issues. So limiting the visibility of internal notes to the reporter role and above gives organizations assurance that this information is only visible to members of their organization. We will be removing view and creation permissions from the guest user role. And finally, from the plan stage, we recently released tasks as an available work item in GitLab. And in GitLab fashion, we're iterating on the feature to continually add value each milestone. And 50.5 will be enabling labels on tasks as a way to categorize them and associate them with larger projects or initiatives, much like issues, epics, and merge requests. All right, that's it from the dev section. And David, I'm going to pass it back to you.
Thanks, Sarah. Matt, would you like to give us the updates for SEC?
Absolutely. Thank you, David and Sarah. There's a lot to cover, so I'm just going to dive right in. We'll start with the secure stage and our dynamic analysis team. They're kicking off work on API discovery. So one of the things that this team has uncovered is many of our customers don't have API definitions available. Now, these are important because they're used to guide the testing coverage, and so it's a barrier to entry. To help with that, and the fact that we have all of the source available, they're going to start trying to automatically detect and create these API definitions, which can then be fed for dynamic analysis API testing. Based on their research, Java Spring Boot is one of the most common enterprise platforms, so they're going to start there first. Also of note, the team is going to continue working on our homegrown browser-based DAST solution. Having completed migrating all of the passive checks from our legacy analyzer, they are now going to start porting over the active attacks starting in 15.5. Our static analysis group, their main feature that they're going to continue working on is automatic revocation of any GitLab.com tokens that are discovered in public repositories. So this is a great security and safety feature for any public projects that may not even realize that this sensitive information has been leaked out. They're going to leverage this, the functionality on GitLab.com, because that's where the revocation utility currently lives. In the future, the plan is to extend this to our self-managed customers as well. They are also continuing work to migrate all of our language-specific analyzers over to the standard SemGrep. Scala is the language that is going to be focused for migration in 15.5. For our composition analysis team, they are looking to start replacing License Finder. So License Finder is the open source project that we used to scan for and detect any of the licenses in your dependencies and projects. But unfortunately, the project is not very well maintained, and that's made it very difficult to quickly add any new features. Rather than simply replace it with another analyzer, the plan is to leverage the fact that we can generate SBOM files from our container and dependency scanners, and we'll start storing those in a dedicated database. This will essentially allow us to keep track of all of the licenses across all of the third-party dependencies in your entire GitLab instance. It won't require rescanning projects that are not seeing any new dependencies inside of them. Now, this group is also going to continue to contribute some resources towards continuous vulnerability scanning. This is going to be the same diagram, just a slightly different highlight here. And this is a good place to transition over into our new govern stage. So the Threat Insights team, as part of the move to govern, has picked up a new category, dependency management, and we'll be taking on some of this work to continue forward the continuous vulnerability scanning. What this essentially does is, again, we are creating dedicated databases to store all of the dependency information from these SBOM files, as well as all of the security advisories that come from our various feed and information sources. By storing these in the database, rather than relying on scan jobs, we're now able to track any changes to new dependencies or new security advisories, automatically cross-reference those on the Rails side, and surface any vulnerable dependencies, for instance, anywhere inside of your GitLab instance, without having to rescan those projects. We can also leverage this to create new vulnerability records against those projects, again, without having to do any scanning. For our compliance team, which is also a new addition to the new govern stage, they are going to start adding default compliance framework labels at the group level. So today, the compliance framework is a great way to enforce policies against your projects simply by applying one of these group compliance framework labels to it. However, as you add new projects, this can create gaps. You still have to manually monitor for any new project additions and apply the appropriate labels. The default is going to fill that gap by enabling you to automatically apply the appropriate framework label to any new child project. And then finally, from our security policies group, this is a great usability enhancement that they're making. Scan execution policies today are created via YAML only. They are going to add to the policy UI the ability to build these new policy types. This is something that is available today for our scan result policies. So for customers or users that are not comfortable or familiar with hand creating YAML, this is a simple way to build these inside of the GUI. It is still backed by the same YAML information that gets committed and stored in your project repository. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Taylor to talk about our data science.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. Hi, everyone. My name is Taylor McCaslin. I am a group product manager for our recently renamed data science section. Today, I'm going to talk about a couple of different areas to start. I'll cover our model ops apply to ML area, which for our product theme is focused on key workflow usability improvements. With 15.4, we're releasing GitLab's first novel machine learning powered feature, suggested reviewers. It's behind a feature flag and is rolling out over the next couple of weeks as part of a limited availability. With 15.5, we're going to expand that availability to all ultimate.com customers, as well as reserve time to create feedback fixes for any early customer usage. We also are going to transition our existing beta bot customers to this new UI integrated experience. We have various other planned improvements to the underlying model, the way that we do authentication with the backend, as well as additional data collection to improve the model itself. So that's a quick overview of suggested reviewers. And then moving on to our ML ops group. This again is focused on key workflow usability. We're planning to modify the existing GitLab package registry to support model hosting for a model registry. You can actually accomplish this today using generic packages. However, we want to provide support for models natively within the package registry. So we're going to begin our experiment basically expanding the package registry. If you host models and need to manage various different models and metadata associated with them, we'd love your participation in this issue and feedback of what you'd like to see, particularly in terms of what kind of metadata you want displayed in the UI. And then finally, our incubation engineering group is focused on integrating MLflow within GitLab. So if you use MLflow today, which is an open source technology to do experiment tracking related to model management and machine learning research, this would be a great issue for you to participate in and to look at how we're potentially going to integrate MLflow. Basically, you'll be able to track your model experiments within GitLab. Again, this is an experimental feature from our single engineering groups. I will just briefly touch, we also do have our anti-abuse group focused on GitLab hosted first. While there's no user-facing features to highlight, I do want to cover that they are doing behind-the-scenes work to improve stability and to combat abuse across the platform. That is an ongoing effort. And with that, I'll hand it over to Kevin to talk about ops.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kevin. I'll be representing ops today. So the ops section is comprised of 5 stages: verify, package, release, configure, and monitor. And we're responsible for building and testing your code, to releasing and deploying it, to configuring and managing your cloud infrastructure, and finally monitoring. In 15.5, we have quite a number of improvements planned around the theme of improving key workflow and extending our lead in CI/CD. But today, I'm just going to share 4 of those with you. First and foremost, the runner group is making it easier for administrators to manage their fleet of runners. Previously, admins can only see runners that they can administer in the UI. We plan to enable them to see and manage all runners that are available to them, including shared runners and runners from other parent groups. Here's a mock-up of what that will look like. So you'll see that there are runners that you can administer, as well as runners that are simply available for you to run. If you simply want to see runners that you can directly administer, simply click on this toggle in the upper right corner. The second item I want to share is that the group Pipeline Insights is working to enable a better workflow to manage artifacts. Previously, without the appropriate information on the artifacts page, it's really hard to understand where the artifacts came from and what they can be used for. We're adding critical contextual information to enable better and more things in a single view. Here is the mock-up of what that will look like. First, you'll notice that there are 2 tabs. You can see artifacts generated from jobs as well as from pipelines. There will be badges that show the status of the artifact. There's contextual where the pipeline or the job, where it came from, with which commit, etc. And importantly, when it was created. And within this view, you can also take appropriate actions, such as deleting or downloading the artifacts. The third thing I want to show you is something I am personally really excited about. So the configure group has been working to allow projects to use agents from groups that the project is not directly related to, without following a specific group or project hierarchy. This is really important because as a group, you may want to only register a certain number of agents that has access to your Kubernetes cluster. So if you look at this particular setup here, the feature project actually previously cannot use the agent that was registered under the agent project. But with this improvement that's rolling out in 15.5, we will enable you to not have that strict hierarchy or change your hierarchy in order to use agents or registered somewhere else within your group organization. We think this is a huge improvement and will allow a lot more people to take advantage of the agent using CI/CD workflows. Last but not least, I want to share something that the release group is working on. They've been busy continuously improving the environments page, and GitLab users today use the environments page to detail and manage their deployments and answer questions such as what is deployed to production exactly. One thing that was previously missing was the environments page didn't show the Git tags that's related to a commit. So that made it harder to answer that question, what is deployed? So in 15.4, in the release that's coming up in a few days, we've added Git tag to the environments page. In 15.5, we're also adding that critical piece of information to the environment's details view. You can see the tag is right here, 15.1.2. And that is all from the ops section. Back to you, David.
Thank you, Kevin, and thank you all presenters. This is another great kickoff call. Some of the things that I'd like to highlight, and I will note these are just a couple I grabbed. There are lots of more available on the kickoff page. For GitLab hosted first, automatic revocation of GitLab.com tokens found in public repos. Very excited to see the continued improvement of our security offering. Utilizing RAF for replication and consensus with GitLab cluster. I'm going to tell you these are all my favorite features, so just you'll have to bear with that as I go through them, but excited to see GitLab cluster continue to mature. Improved database framework to support teams in partitioning their own tables. The Verify team, in partnership with Enable, did a great job to improve performance around CI, and it'd be great to see other teams be able to leverage that as well. For improved key workflow usability, which I'll tell you, most of our features work today, which excites me a lot to have usability at the forefront. Suggested reviewers will move to GA for all Ultimate SaaS users. Great to see our first, say, AI-assisted applied machine learning feature ship. Improve the artifacts table view to support more data. Kevin just highlighted that. It was great. Group level settings for default compliance frameworks to apply to new projects. Continued improvement of what we're doing with Ultimate. Extend our efforts on work items and introduce labels onto tasks. Task by far is growing very quickly. If you've not played with it, it's awesome. Make sure to check it out. API discovery as part of our API security testing. Update global search scope to include the vertical navigation. Also excited about that one as well. And the last one, beginning efforts for our executive dashboard, including comparative metrics. As GitLab becomes more and more valuable to enterprises, executives want to see those stats, and it's exciting to see what Heim's team is doing. And finally, for our externally and CI/CD group runners, and being able to see all runners available in that group. Kevin showed some really great screenshots of that. Allow projects to use agents from groups not directly related. I agree with Kevin. That was one of my exciting ones from the ops section. And then finally, beginning to look at the package registry as a model registry and beginning to support MLOps needs for our users. So again, that's just a small sampling of everything everyone covered. And thank you very much for presenters for that great overview. Again, check out the kickoff page to see the full list of items, and please like and comment on the issues to engage with the team. Our team here loves talking to you, whether you are a GitLab employee, a GitLab user, so please engage. And again, thank you everyone for watching and enjoying this kickoff, and have a great day.